got a slip in your palm and a hole in your chest. Black coffee on the felt, man, you look like a mess. 3-team parlay turned to dust in your hand. Now you stare at the chips like they made you this man. But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now. Hold on, hold on. Not tonight, not now. Hold on. Let me pull you out. That fella bites hard, but it don't get the crown.
Somehow my mic doesn't unmute now when the intro ends. That's awesome. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you, Toadstool Sports, whatever. Wednesday, August 19th. Can I say that I'm hot again? I don't know. When am I ever not? No. I roll out of bed and I just do this show the way that I slept, so that's hot, 3-0 on the show yesterday, so I'm happy about that. I think it was all legitimate winners. The Yankees won. I mean, that's the only time where I won't be extremely mad about that is when we have them as a play. First 5 under in Detroit, Pittsburgh. It hit if you took the 4.5. If you took a 4, it was a push. But it should have been way easier than it was. It was a 0-0 game into the 5th inning. And then the full game wound up going under as well. But all the runs came in the 5th inning. 4 runs in the 5th inning. It was 3-1 Pittsburgh at the end of the 5th. And then no more runs in the game. And Pittsburgh's bullpen basically didn't even have to come into the game. Ashcraft, I think, went 8 innings again. So that's the thing. It's hard to gauge, like, how long is the starter going to be in this game, when you're trying to avoid the bullpen. Last 2 times Ashcraft was out there, there was no bullpen to avoid. And we backed him in some way in the first 5 and both of them. But the bullpen pitched 1 inning, I think, combined across those 2 games. So you never know, man. You might have your starter actually go almost the entire game. But whatever, it was still a winner if you got the 4.5, and it should have been easier. Just so happened that all the runs came in the 5th inning, except there was 1 more run after that. I think Pittsburgh won 4-1. But yeah, if it's 0-0 going into the 5th inning, and I mean, that should be a pretty easy winner on the under there. Arizona-Boston, that was an easy over as well. That game was over probably by like the 3rd or 4th inning. Once it hit 4-4, it was guaranteed to go over the total. And that game, Suarez, I mean, I think he was better than maybe his pitching line looked in that game. It was like 1 inning where everything just kind of unraveled. The Red Sox had a 3-0 lead, and then Suarez gave up these 2 bloop hits that just landed in the shallow outfield. And this was all with 2 outs, by the way. I think in the 3rd inning, 2 like bloop hits that you couldn't do anything about. They just landed in the right place in the shallow outfield. Then I think he might have walked the next guy. And then he gives up a grand slam. And that all happened with 2 outs in the 3rd inning. And then he stayed in the game for, I think, at least 2 more innings, and he didn't give up any more runs. So I don't know. But then the Red Sox, of course, got their runs back, like right after Suarez gave that up. Rutschman homered to tie the game. Then the Red Sox scored again. And then the Red Sox scored more times to make that thing go easily over the total. It was a 9-4 win in that one. McAdoo, what's up? Yes, thank you. I'm not the GOAT, though. Thank you for hanging out. Let's get into this, man. Again, I don't want these shows to take as long as they do, but I don't know. I mean, I need to find some way to condense these things. I'm just not really able to do it because of autism, probably. We have afternoon baseball here, a few afternoon games here. Some of these series are ending. Detroit-Pittsburgh is the first one. These teams have split the series so far. Both teams, I think, are trying here. Like, Pittsburgh's technically not eliminated yet, although in the NL, it's highly unlikely they're going to be able to make the playoffs at this point. Detroit definitely can in the AL. So maybe a little bit more motivation on the Detroit side here. Detroit does have the better bullpen. They used 2 guys out of the bullpen yesterday. Pittsburgh used 1. Whoever wins this game also wins the series, of course. But yeah, Ashcraft basically saved Pittsburgh's bullpen yesterday. Detroit's number 14 in bullpen, arranged by WHIP. Pittsburgh is, where are they? 23rd. So yeah, Detroit ranks higher in the bullpen. Pittsburgh is the better offense. They're 4th. Detroit is 13th, tied with Minnesota right now. Pittsburgh is a pretty good offense at home. Detroit is going with Jackson Jobe in this game. I'm not sure what to make of him. He pitched a bit last year. Like, that's the biggest gauge that we have is his 10 starts last year. And he wasn't great. Like, he walked way too many guys. And he wasn't that good of a strikeout guy. So, I don't know, man. There isn't that much to like about him. He's got a 6.23 ERA this year and 1.38 whip. Only in 2 starts, though. And people were looking at him and, he had a good start against San Francisco. Okay, yeah, well, San Francisco, pitcher-friendly park. San Francisco's not a good offense, but I felt like people were, like, really hyping Jobe up after that because he shut them out for 5 innings. Okay, well, then what did he do in his next start? He came home and he got obliterated by the White Sox, so I'm not sure that he's really that good, although he's not really walking anybody right now this year. 8-2 strikeout walk ratio this year. He's actually getting hit too hard. He's got no stats against Pittsburgh, so he is unfamiliar to them. So that could be an advantage to the pitcher when the opposing lineup hasn't seen him before. I don't think I trust him, though. His numbers don't look trustworthy to me, so I don't really want much to do with him here. You'll get maybe some value on him because he's going up against Paul Skeens, but Paul Skeens, you could start arguing that there's going to be value backing Paul Skeens at some point here because there's something that looks like it has not been right with him. Like his velocity's been down a few miles an hour. I don't know what is going on with him. He's having his worst season, even though his numbers look pretty good. 3.88 ERA, 1.12 whip. And unhealthy Skeens is still an above-average pitcher. But this year has been a disappointment. He is better at home, 3.44 home ERA. He got through his last start against Miami, only went 5 innings. He hasn't made it past 5 innings for 3 starts in a row now. Pirates have lost 4 starts in a row of his, and they had won 3 in a row prior to that, but before that, I think they'd lost 9 or 10 in a row, so things are not going well for him or for the Pirates when he's on the mound. It's not all him, though. Some of it is that they're not backing him up with runs or that the bullpen isn't doing well. He's had a few legitimately bad starts in here, but he's not this like elite pitcher that he's supposed to be right now. So it seems like there is something wrong with him. His strikeout walk ratio is still pretty good, but it's a little bit down. And strikeout per 9 is actually pretty much right in line with where it has been. So it's like, well, what's going on with him? Like he's still striking guys out. His walk rate's still pretty low. His hit rate is still low. So, I mean, I think it's just a combination, I guess, of the hit. I guess it's maybe that he is walking more people than he usually does, and maybe he's a little bit more hittable. He's been good against Detroit in the past, in 29 at-bats. They have 5 hitters who have faced him, so it's not a huge sample, but he's dominated these guys. 10 strikeouts, 2 walks, 103 average, 325 OPS. I don't really want to fade Skeens here, and you got to think that at some point they're going to kind of figure out what's wrong with him and whatever. Skeens is better than Jobe. I mean, you have to pay about minus 150 for Pittsburgh. The money is backing Pittsburgh. 76% of tickets, 91% of the cash on them. I'm not going to do it at this price. And you can kind of tell what I'm doing today if you see my title and you get the joke here. We may or may not have numerous first fives today. And they're all in the later part of the board. It's all night stuff from me today. I don't like the afternoon board. Like I got through most of the board, and I was thinking I was going to skip the whole board. But then I started liking like most of the later games, and I was like, oh, okay, I got to narrow this down now. Anyway, I think I think I would lean Pittsburgh here, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to trust it. It looks like a somewhat cheap price, really, to get Paul Skeens at. You could make it like a -1 run line and get the price down. Pittsburgh hits well enough at home that maybe they can accomplish that. The money's also coming in on the over, which I don't really think I agree with that. To me, it seems like both pitchers might set up for more of an under-ish type of game because there's a lot of unfamiliarity here. Skeens is just generally pretty good. So, I don't know. It's a hard game to figure out because we need to know what is going on with Skeens. So, I don't know. San Diego and the Mets. This has been a pretty low-scoring series, which is what I expected. Both games, I think, have gone under the total so far. Each team has won a game. The Mets won the first game, and then they lost their 4-game win streak with San Diego winning the game yesterday, which surprised me a little bit because I didn't think Robbie Ray was that good, but he was able to get the game yesterday. I think he got the win. San Diego used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Whoops, I'm looking at the wrong New York team. Mets used 3 as well. Both bullpens are pretty good. San Diego's, I think, is better. I think San Diego is one of the top 4 or 5 bullpens here. They're ranked 7th, and the Mets are actually 5th, but I think San Diego is slightly better than the Mets. Neither offense has done well this year. San Diego 23rd, Mets 25th, tied with the Reds. Although they've both been better recently, at least. This looks like a total pitching mismatch here, though, with San Diego having a decent starter on the mound and the Mets going with Mr. Unsolved Mysteries, who is not a good pitcher. Michael King is pitching for San Diego. He is fairly good. 3.41 ERA, 1.19 whip. Advanced analytics guys don't really love him because he doesn't strike that many guys out, but he's had a good career, so it's like, how can you really argue with a long career where he's put up consistent numbers like this? I don't know what to tell you, man. He's been slightly worse on the road, which makes sense because San Diego's a pitcher-friendly park. 3.65 road ERA, still not bad. He's still in pretty good form here. He's allowed 3 or fewer runs in all but 1 start going all the way back through the beginning of July. He's got a low hit rate. He's hard to hit. He does walk too many guys. That is kind of a concern as well. His walk rate, I think, if I remember correctly, he usually doesn't walk this many guys, so I think his walk rate is up from where it usually is, and his strikeout rate may actually be a little bit down from where it usually is. So, yeah, maybe the advanced analytics guys maybe have a point here with the way he's pitching right now. His strikeout-walk ratio is at a career low this year, so that is kind of an issue. And his strikeout per 9 also is, so he's walking more guys than usual and striking fewer guys out than usual, but he's still not allowing that many runs and not putting that many guys on base. The Mets actually do have good numbers against him, so that is concerning. 280 average, 893 OPS, and 75 at-bats. Big sample there, 20-6 strikeout-walk ratio. So I don't really want to come in and trust King, even though when I first looked at this, I was like, yeah, like San Diego's going to win this with King against Robert Stock. If you have any information about how bad this pitcher is, please contact P.O. Box. I wish I remembered the number of it. Burbank, California. Unsolved Mysteries. Anyway, Robert Stock is not good. He's an old man, and I think he hasn't really, he has not done much in Major League Baseball, and whatever he has done hasn't been good. 6.57 ERA, 1.86 whip this year. Yeah, that's not good. Although he's been good at home, I guess, with a .96 home ERA. His road ERA is 24, but he's only made 3 starts so far. And yes, his home starts have been better, but his strikeout walk ratio is 13-8. He's allowing more hits than innings pitched, 15 and 12 in the third innings. None of this is good. So I wouldn't trust him, even though he did struggle through a start against the Nationals last time out, and he did not allow any earned runs in that one, but he got kind of lucky that he didn't allow any earned runs there. He's not good. San Diego hasn't really faced him, though. Only Machado has seen him, and he's 0 for 2 with no strikeouts, no walks. I mean, I would still probably lean to San Diego here. They do still have the better starting pitcher and the better bullpen here, in my opinion. The money is backing them. It's minus 130 on the road. I don't know if I really love that, especially with King not having good matchup numbers. 67% of tickets, 95% of the cash on San Diego. I would probably also agree with an over in this one because King has bad matchup numbers. I'll lean in with I'll side with the advanced analytics guys here and agree that maybe he won't pitch the best here. Stock, he's not good. So the money is actually agreeing with the over. It's 8.5 is the total. 50% of the tickets, 64% of the cash on the over. So, yeah, I would lean San Diego, and I would lean over in that one, but not strong opinions for me there. Maybe the over is better because the pitching matchup just actually doesn't really look that good. I don't know where Garrett is right now, but one of his guys is coming back for Atlanta here. Atlanta's also trying to avoid getting swept in Minnesota. This is on ESPN Unlimited. Minnesota's won both games. But I told you I liked Minnesota in the first 5, at least, in both of those games, with Ober being better at home. And I didn't really like either of Atlanta's pitchers that have pitched so far in the series. And Minnesota had Zebby pitching yesterday, and he's better at home as well. So they did win both games, full game and first 5. All of those won with Minnesota. But Atlanta's the better team, trying to avoid the sweep. So, I will tend to look that way towards the team trying to avoid a sweep, especially if they're the better team. I'm not going to do it in this case, though. Minnesota is still going to play with motivation because they're trying to make the playoffs, even though I don't think that's going to happen. But they're still fighting for it. Bullpen-wise, Atlanta definitely has the better bullpen. Atlanta used 2 guys out of the bullpen. Minnesota used 4. Atlanta is number 2 in bullpen here in whip. Actually 3 because the Yankees have the same whip but a better ERA. Yeah, I think Atlanta's around the 3rd best bullpen, maybe the 4th or 5th. Minnesota's way worse. Minnesota's 28th. Atlanta is also the slightly better offense, I think. They're 12th. Minnesota 13th, tied with Detroit right now. Red Sox somehow have pulled ahead of both of them. Atlanta has A.J. Smith-Shawver coming back to make this start. He's not had the greatest career so far, but he started his career really early. Like, he must have been like 19 when he first pitched in Major League Baseball, which is kind of insane. Maybe they rushed him a little bit. And then his longest season was last year, and he had some walk issues, which has kind of been the case throughout his career. The walks have been the issue with him. And I think he's mostly been in the minors this year. Maybe he's been injured. I'm not sure, but 4.15 ERA, 1.38 whip. His whip is a problem, man, but he's only made 1 start this year. He started in late July at the Mets, didn't really go that deep into the game. He was mediocre in the game, gave up 2 runs in 4 1/3 innings. Minnesota has basically no experience against him. Only Josh Bell, because he used to be on Washington, has ever faced him before. He's 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. So there is unfamiliarity here, so Smith-Shawver might have a little bit of an edge here because Minnesota has never faced him before, and I don't think he's a bad pitcher. He's fairly talented, but the walks are the issue with him. Taj Bradley getting the start for Minnesota. He's had a pretty decent season, 3.98 ERA, 1.29 whip. Not excellent, but definitely not bad. And he's been pretty good at home, 3.65 home ERA. Didn't do well last time out, which was in the Field of Dreams game, I believe. He did not pitch well in that game against Philly. And he's not really been in great form recently. He's walking too many guys. He was striking a ton of guys out for a while, but the walk number has been a problem basically all season. And in August, a 12-10 strikeout walk ratio in 15 innings, 19 hits allowed. Yeah, that's not good form. So he's not really pitching well right now. He does have a pretty low hit rate on the season. His walk rate is too high, so that's the main problem that he has. He strikes out a lot of guys, though. So he's got some talent here with the strikeouts. Strikeout walk ratio isn't great, but it could be worse. But the walks, he needs to fix that. His strikeout per 9 is actually pretty good. It's at 10, so that's definitely not bad. But I don't trust his form right now. His numbers against the Braves are pretty decent, though. 49 at-bats, 245 average allowed, 669 OPS, 18-4 strikeout walk ratio. I was looking at maybe the Braves here. The money is coming in on the Braves, trying to avoid the sweep. It's like a pick'em price here. I worry because it looks too easy, right? Like the public likely is going to side with the Braves as well, although it looks like it is public and real money all on the Braves here. 54% of the tickets, not that public. 92% of the money. I'm not going to disagree with the Braves. I think Smith-Shawver might have the upper hand here, plus the Braves will have the better bullpen. They're the better team and trying to avoid the sweep here. So it kind of makes sense. I'm kind of thinking under might make some sense here too, because Bradley, I worry about Bradley's current form though, but he's better at home. He's not too bad on the season. Decent matchup numbers against the Braves, and Smith-Shawver has the unfamiliarity here. The money is slightly indicated towards the over. Total's at 8.5. If you're going to take the under, though, I would only do it in the first 5, though, because Minnesota's bullpen, not good. 61% of tickets, 67% of the cash on the over. First 5 under, yeah, might be worth a look in this game, and I would lean Atlanta full game as well. All right, Chicago. Cubs are on the verge of a sweep here. I believe this is the last game of the series. They're not playing tomorrow, right? I don't think so. So the Cubs are on the verge of a sweep here. And you do have to look, like, will these teams that are on the verge of a sweep, will they overlook this team and look forward to who they're playing next? Minnesota's playing San Diego next. I don't know if that really matters. Cubs are playing Seattle next. I don't know, but the White Sox should have a little bit extra motivation to try to avoid the sweep. The problem with that is their pitching setup in this game is really bad. So the Cubs have gotten kind of the luck of the draw in this series. The pitching matchups have favored the Cubs in all 3 games in the series, including this one. So that does help the Cubs here. And they haven't won each game by that much, I don't think. Cubs used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. The White Sox did use Eric Fetty yesterday, like I said they would. They wound up using 5 guys out of the bullpen, which is probably not good because they're going with a bullpen game today. So that's a negative, I think, for the White Sox. The Cubs are the 11th ranked bullpen. White Sox are 15th, but if the White Sox are going with a bullpen game, yeah, I don't like that. Cubs are number 3 offensively. White Sox are 8th, tied with Miami. But the White Sox have Sean Newcomb listed as the starter. He's been good, but he's just an opener, man. 2.51 ERA, 1.1 whip. He's probably only going to go 1-2 innings here. Maybe max, he'll make it into the 3rd inning. But you're going to get a bullpen game from the White Sox here, basically, with their bullpen already kind of used up. And they used Eric Fetty yesterday, so they probably aren't using him today. So I don't think that's good. You're taking a mediocre bullpen that doesn't have much rest, and you're going to throw them out there again for this game. Yeah, that's not good. Well, the Cubs are going with Clay Holmes, who has been all right. He's been good over the course of the season. He was good with the Mets before he had his broken, his tibia, I think. Either the tibia or the fibula, I forget, where he broke his leg with a liner off of it against the Yankees and stayed in the game because he's a badass. He's got a 2.56 ERA, 1.07 whip on the season. That's good. He's been a good home pitcher at 2.15 ERA and below a 200 batting average allowed. That was mostly with the Mets, though. But he pitched well at home here last time out. He's had 2 starts with the Cubs so far. Cubs traded for him, I believe, and then he came back from his injury. He pitched kind of poorly at Kansas City in his first start with the Cubs. Bounced back nicely and shut out St. Louis here at home last time out for 6 2/3 innings, allowed only 1 hit. Didn't really strike many guys out, 3 strikeouts, 1 walk. So his strikeout-walk ratio hasn't been that good, but he pitched well in that one. He's had a decent season here. Doesn't allow many hits. His problem is the walks, and he doesn't really strike out that many guys. So his strikeout-walk ratio is not really that good, which is kind of the main issue with what his numbers look like here. It's in the 2s. He's never really been a huge... Well, actually, no, I'm wrong about that. He did have some huge strikeout numbers, mostly when he was on the Yankees. So that's interesting. His strikeout rate has gone way down over the last few years. He is getting a little bit older as well, but he's still pitching fairly effectively, and he's been good against the White Sox. They only have 5 hitters who have faced him. 18 at-bats, 167 average, 495 OPS, 4-3 strikeout-walk ratio, which is not good, but the rest of those numbers are good. I think I'd only be able to lean to the Cubs again in this one, man. I know the White Sox are trying to avoid the sweep. They should be motivated. They're fighting for a playoff spot, whereas the Cubs are almost guaranteed a playoff spot already at this point. Money is backing the Cubs, it looks like, even though they are public. 76% of tickets, 91% of the cash on them. They're at about minus 140. I still think that's probably what I would do, is just play the Cubs on the money line if I was going to play this. Just looks like it's a pitching mismatch again that favors them, and that's been correct in the other 2 games. Maybe it won't be here, but the Cubs have only won each game by 2 and 1 run, and both games were legitimately close, I believe. So do with that what you want, and then the total's 8. The money is coming in a little bit on the over there. I can see the arguments for the over. I mean, it looks like you're going to get bad pitching out of the White Sox, and then Holmes, I mean, he's not guaranteed to be that good here. You could also do something like play the Cubs, over team total. which you'll probably need him to get to 5, I would guess, if you're going to do that. They could do that, although given that the total's 8, it probably means the wind is not going to be hitter-friendly, at least in this one in Wrigley. It means the wind is probably not doing much, or it might even be slightly blowing in if that total's 8. So do what you want with all that info. Arizona against the Red Sox. Arizona is trying to avoid a sweep. What else is new? The Red Sox are playing San Francisco next, I believe. I don't know if that's going to be a distraction or anything, but for the Red Sox, this is going to be the best pitcher from Arizona that the Red Sox have had to face. You could say the same thing about Arizona here, though. The Red Sox are probably going with their best pitcher of the series here as well. So I'm not going to be playing an over in this game, I'll tell you that much. The Red Sox used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. They do still have the top bullpen, but they got some injuries going on in this bullpen right now. Arizona's bullpen, I don't think is as good. They used 4 guys out of the bullpen yesterday. Red Sox are still the number 1 bullpen here. Maybe they're a little bit less than that with those injuries, though. But Arizona, they're ranked 9th now. I told you they weren't as good as when they were ranked up in the top 5. Their ERA is getting close to the mid-4s, man. So I don't really think their bullpen is that good. The Red Sox offense, yeah, they're up to 11th, man. The Red Sox offense has definitely been much improved recently. They seem to be gelling. Like, the Red Sox have a lot of injuries, too. Like, Yoshida's out now. Roman Anthony looks like he's on his way back. Red Sox did get Rutschman finally in the lineup with this series. I think at the start of this series, he had a couple of hits yesterday. He looked pretty good yesterday at the plate, so that's helping them. But it looks like they just have this team chemistry going on where everybody in the lineup is hitting. And the Red Sox did something that I think had never been done before in the first game of this series. All 9 batters in the starting lineup had an RBI, and none of them struck out, which is ridiculous. The Red Sox did that in the first game, and then over the first 2 games of this series, I believe everybody in the Red Sox lineup had a hit in both games, and they only had 3 strikeouts total across the 2 games. So yeah, this Red Sox offense is gelling right now, but they did face some kind of bad pitching over the last 2 games, and they're facing better pitching here, which sounds crazy because it's Brandon Pfaadt, but he is better than the other guys that have pitched in this series, and he's been good since he came back up from the minors. His entire season has turned around. 3.11 ERA, 1.13 WHIP. He's been good on the road, 2.62 road ERA, although opponent batting average a little bit worse on the road. Last 2 outings of his have been 7-inning shutout performances, 3 of his last 4, in fact. And he hasn't allowed a run in his last 4 starts, and he's gone at least 6 2/3 in all of them. And 3 of the teams that he faced there were Pittsburgh, the Dodgers, and Atlanta. So he's doing that against some good offenses. He's not walking many guys right now. He's getting a decent amount of strikeouts to some degree, at least as well. I don't think he's a huge strikeout pitcher. And since he's come back from the minors, the Dbacks have won every one of his starts except one of them. They're 8-1 with him pitching since he's come back. And the only one they lost was the one where he had a shutout for 7 innings against the Dodgers, and they lost in extra innings. I almost said overtime. So yeah, Pfaadt is pitching quite well right now. He does have a pretty low hit rate on the season. Doesn't really walk anybody, but he doesn't strike anybody out either. Even though it looks like his strikeout stuff is getting a little bit better here as well. He doesn't put a lot of guys on base at all, man. The advanced analytics guys will probably take some umbrage with this because he doesn't strike guys out. This is his lowest strikeout rate he's had in his career. He actually was a decent strikeout pitcher 2 years ago. Or he was a good one. Not so much now, but he's pitching well right now. I wouldn't want to fade him right now. And the Red Sox have hit him a little bit, kind of mediocre numbers here. 276 average, 758 OPS, 29 at-bats, 8-3. Strikeout walk ratio. So when I first looked at this, I was thinking this is going to be an under with this pitching matchup, and maybe it is. But when you start digging into the actual matchup numbers, it gets a little bit questionable. Like the Red Sox have been able to hit Pfaadt a little bit. Red Sox offense is hot right now. Red Sox have Peyton Tolley pitching here. He's good, man. I mentioned that graphic the other day with the top 10 expected ERA pitchers based on StatCast or whatever, Baseball Savant. They had the top 10 pitchers in expected ERA, not real ERA. Some of them overlap, though. Peyton Tolley was in that mix. He was one of the top 10 in expected ERA. So he's been very good. He has a 2.97 ERA, 1.06 whip. He's debatably the best starter in the Red Sox rotation at this point, which is kind of insane because he's 23. He's been a little bit worse at home, 3.48 home ERA. Pitched well last time out, shutting out Toronto for 8 innings, and he didn't even really have great stuff. He put the lead batter on the first 3 innings of that game, and he still didn't allow any runs. The Red Sox have won 7 starts in a row of his. This month, he's been on point, 25-4 strikeout walk ratio in 20 innings. Pitched pretty well against the Dodgers in there as well on the road. Blew away the A's with a ton of strikeouts in his other start this month. Yeah, he's definitely on point right now. He's pitching well. He's got a low hit rate, low walk rate, high strikeout rate. These numbers are all good. Pretty good strikeout walk ratio here. Walks maybe a little bit of a concern. Good strikeouts per 9. He throws pretty hard. However, he did have one start against Arizona last year on the road, and it was one of his worst of his career. It was bad. They have 11 their current lineup has 11 at-bats against him. Although Ketel Marte, however you want to pronounce his name, he's still on the active roster, so he's still in this he's still on the stat sheet here, but it doesn't matter because he's 0 for 1 with a walk against Tolley. So with him out of the lineup, who cares? Even so, with him in there, Arizona has a 4.55 average and 16.29 OPS against them. 2 strikeouts, 2 walks, 5 for 11. Even if you take Marte out, okay, well they're 5 for 10 with 1 fewer walks. So that doesn't really make it better. So Tolley did struggle, but that was like his second start of his career, probably, or something like that. So maybe you shouldn't take that much away from it. Given what these pitchers are pitching like right now, I still think this game probably is an under. Both other games in the series have gone over. 60% of the tickets are on the over, 56% of the cash on the under. The total's at 8 here. I think the under is what makes the most sense in this game, but I worry about it because the matchup numbers don't look good. The money is also coming in on Arizona with the Red Sox up to minus 160 here, basically. Peyton Tolley getting some respect in the market here. 90% of the tickets, only 67% of the cash on the Red Sox. Money coming in backing Arizona to try to avoid the sweep here, you know. I don't know, man. I mean, I still think Tolley probably is the better. He's the better of these 2 pitchers. And, I mean, he's definitely got the better strikeout stuff. The advanced analytics guys will tell you he's the better pitcher. Red Sox do still have the better bullpen. So I think matchup-wise, I don't really love Arizona, although the situation does kind of look like Arizona is maybe worth consideration because, again, they're trying to avoid the sweep, and they've been kind of embarrassed in this series. So there are those factors there, but it's not necessarily great that they have to go up against potentially the Red Sox best pitcher here. However, they did hit him well last year. So I don't know. Do with all that info what you want, but trying to sift through all the information we have in that one. I think the under is probably the way to look in that game, but not going to be a play for me. Miami and Philadelphia. Philadelphia is on the verge of a sweep. They've won 5 games in a row. Both games in the series have been close, though, 6-5 and 6-4. So Miami is playing competitively here. Miami, they're going to show up for games against Philly, but of course they're going to show up here. They're trying to avoid the sweep. Philadelphia is playing St. Louis next. I don't know if that's a big deal or not, but I think they're both kind of in the wild card race, but so is Miami, I think. So all these teams, I think, are kind of battling for wild card positioning here potentially. And I looked at the starting pitching, and I was like, yeah, Miami might be a play here because you could definitely make the argument Miami has the better starting pitcher on the mound in this game, and they're looking to avoid the sweep. Miami's bullpen, though, even though they're the better one, they went with a bullpen game yesterday, and Tyler Phillips, I said he was going to be in the game, and he was, but he came into the game later than I thought he would, and it was just like a full bullpen game for Miami. So they used 5 guys out of the bullpen. I don't really love that, and I don't like Philly's bullpen really either. They use 4 guys. Miami is the better ranked bullpen at 8th. Philadelphia is 17th, but I would not want to trust either bullpen in this game after what we saw yesterday. Miami is the better hitting team. They're ranked 8th, tied with the White Sox. Philly is 18th, tied with the Giants. Philly is moving up offensively, though, and they are better at home. Miami, I don't think is that good offensively, but I do think Miami has the better starter in general here. Sandy Alcantara is pitching. He's had a good season, 3.43 ERA, 1.17 whip. He's not as good on the road, though, 4.08 road ERA, so that's a little bit concerning. He's in good form right now, though. He's allowed 1 run total across his last 4 starts, including a 7-inning shutout against Philly. He's faced Philly twice this year, I think once on the road, once at home. The shutout was at home, but his road start against them was also pretty effective. So he is pitching pretty well. He's been good against Philly this year as well. The recent starts that he's had, though, were against some pretty bad offenses, though. Mets, Anaheim, and Cincinnati. So I would maybe dial it back a little bit, but it's still a decent sign that he's going deep into these outings. He's not allowing runs. He's got a pretty low hit rate here. His strikeout rate is actually getting a little bit better, and his walk rate is fine. He's going a lot of innings here, man. So his strikeout per 9 is actually getting back closer to 3. So he's a guy that, I thought he was never really going to come back from his Tommy John surgery or whatever he had, but this season has actually been a nice turnaround for him. It's been his best season, I think, since all that happened. So, yeah, pretty impressive. You like to see it. Those strikeout per 9, of course, is at a career low here. So his strikeout rate is still, not really there, but he's finding a way to pitch effectively anyway. Numbers against Philly, though, despite having 2 good starts against them this year, overall, his numbers are not good against them. This is one of the biggest sample sizes you'll ever see. 324 at-bats against this Phillies lineup. They have a 299 average against them at 785 OPS. So that does worry me if you want to back Alcantara here. He's not as good on the road. And even though he's been good the last 2 times against Philly, these numbers don't look good. 62 strikeouts, 24 walks. And keep in mind, some of this was back when Alcantara was a better pitcher. They still hit him well. So, yeah, that doesn't look great to me. This Phillies lineup has been able to mostly get to him. So I don't love that. Aaron Nola, though, is pitching for Philly. And, I talk about Philly. Generally, basically, Philly wins when they have Wheeler, Sanchez, or Luzardo on the mound. And generally, they lose with any other pitcher on the mound. Nola is obviously any other pitcher. He hasn't had a good season. He's trying to come back from injury as well. He is pitching better recently, though. Season numbers not good. 5.33 ERA, 1.45 whip. His career numbers are a lot better than this, though. But again, he hasn't really been the same since the injury stuff. He's worse at home, so both pitchers are in the bad home-road split here. 6.23 home ERA. Like I said, though, he is doing better recently. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all but 1 start, going back to the start of July. However, Philly has lost most of those games. They've lost 6 of his 8 starts over that span, but that's obviously not really his fault. He's actually pitched okay for the most part. The one bad start in there, by the way, was against LA, the Dodgers, so I wouldn't really knock him for that. His strikeout walk ratio has been decent over that span. So, yeah, he is pitching better. There's no doubt about that. The bullpen, the offense isn't really helping him out here. Over the course of the season, his hit rate is still too high, though he's allowed a ton of home runs. 30 home runs in 130 innings. Yeah, that's a problem, obviously. His walk rate is okay. His strikeout rate is actually pretty good. So strikeout walk numbers actually not too bad here. Decent. Not as good as he used to be, but decent. And his strikeout per 9 is actually okay. It's not that much worse than it has been throughout his career. So he does seem to have his stuff to some extent here. He did pitch against Miami in that recent series as well, and he did all right. 5 2/3, allowed 1 run. He was kind of walk heavy in that game, though. Overall against Miami, he's mediocre against them in 49 at-bats, 286 average, 722 OPS, 13-2 strikeout walk ratio. I'm thinking over in this one. The money seems like maybe it agrees with that. The total's at 8.5, so it's right there in the middle of nowhere. 66% of tickets on the under, 62% of the cash on the under. Maybe somewhat of an indicator towards the over here, although I don't really see the public coming in and playing an under in any of these games, but both pitchers are in the worst home road split here. Maybe you can't trust Alcantara's recent. He's in good recent form, though. That's the thing. Both pitchers are in good recent form, but I don't like the matchup numbers. I don't like the home road splits. And Alcantara, his good recent form was mostly against bad teams, so there might be some regression coming here. The money is backing Miami, and kind of still agree with that. 68% of tickets on Philly, 66% of the cash on Miami. Philly dropped from -130 down into the -120 something range here. Like I said, Miami might be extra motivated to try to avoid the sweep. Philadelphia is in better playoff positioning right now. And you could make the argument Alcantara is better than Nola right now. So those would be the arguments for Miami. I'm not going to be doing it, obviously. Yankees and Baltimore. We're in the evening games here. Now, that last game was an evening game as well. Yankees and Baltimore are continuing their series tomorrow. We got the win with the Yankees yesterday, although it was a 1-1 game late in the game, and the Yankees were able to win. Part of the handicap was the Yankees have the better bullpen, though, and so Rodon pitched well. Yankees offense still struggled, though, and that was a possible concern going into that game, but they were able to get it done anyway. The bullpen won out. This game is probably not going to be as low scoring. This pitching matchup looks pretty bad. This is on Amazon Prime and MLB Network, by the way. Baltimore debatably could be in a bounce back spot because you remember my handicap yesterday. Part of it was Baltimore returning home from a road trip, a long one. And, I talk about when teams return home from road trips, a lot of times they don't do well. And if they don't do well in that game, a lot of times they get settled and they bounce back nicely in the next game. Whatever they had to do at home, put it out of sight. You get shocked back into focus. Baltimore's not going to be unfocused against the Yankees anyway, but the Yankees are also going to try to win here, obviously. Yankees ended a losing streak with that last game, with the game before that, I think. Yankees used 5 relief pitchers yesterday, although some lighter usage a little bit from their back end of their bullpen here, but they still did use their closer yesterday. But they still have the better bullpen. Baltimore did only use 2 guys out of theirs, though, so Baltimore's bullpen rest is a little better. Yankees are I think the second best bullpen here, and technically they are ranked second here, even though it says third, because they have the better ERA than Atlanta, and they're tied in WHIP. Baltimore is an okay bullpen. They're 13th, although they haven't been as good recently, and they lost the game yesterday, I'm pretty sure. Yankees offense has been struggling, man. They're at 17th right now. Baltimore is 16th. So these offenses are kind of on even footing here, but I think there might be some offense in this game. Will Warren is pitching for the Yankees. He's got to be their worst starting pitcher at this point. I don't think he's that bad, but these numbers are not great. 4.42 ERA, 1.41 WHIP is pretty ugly. He's kind of falling back into that he's falling back into not being as good on the road, which I think was the case last year as well. He is slightly worse on the road again this year, although it's not that significant, but he's also not really in particularly good form right now. Bad start last time out at home against Seattle, and that's a team that hasn't been hitting well, and they hit 3 home runs off him, and he walked a ton of guys. He's having some issues, man. He's had some good starts in here too, but he's been all over the place. He's had some really bad ones and some really good ones in here, so he's a little bit of a roller coaster, kind of hard to predict. His hit rate is too high, though. His walk rate isn't really that great. Strikeout rate is okay. So overall, strikeout per 9 is still not, strikeout per 9, is still not too bad. Strikeout walk ratio is also not too bad, but he's definitely too hittable. I think that's really his main problem is he's too hittable. And his numbers against Baltimore are pretty decent. 211 average, 717 OPS, and 71 at bats. 19-10 strikeout walk ratio is not good, though. But generally, he does pitch all right against Baltimore. Baltimore's got Chris Bassitt going. I didn't even realize he was back in the majors. I knew he was in the minors, but I guess he's back, and he's not had a good season. 5.11 ERA, really bad, 1.62 WHIP. That's not good, although he is better at home. Like, throughout his career, he's always been better at home. 3.09 home ERA. However, he does still allow a pretty high opponent batting average at home. 270, even though he's worse on the road. He made one appearance. I don't know if it was a start or not. He came back, I guess, and he pitched in a major league game against Tampa back on the 14th. I guess he might have started that game. It might have been Baltimore hadn't decided on a starter, and then they used him. He pitched okay in that one on the road, but he was a little bit wild. Held Tampa to 2 runs, and Baltimore actually won the game, but he walked 3 guys as well, so he was putting too many guys on base. I don't trust Bassitt, and he's not particularly good against the Yankees. They have 103 at-bats against him, 272 average, 775 OPS, 27-11 strikeout walk ratio. I don't know, man. I was thinking over makes the most sense in this game. It looks like the money is strongly agreeing with that. 68% of tickets on the under, 82% of the cash on the over. You might be able to still find a 9 juice to the over here. It looks like the M book with the lion and the C book with the Roman Emperor look like they both have a 9 juice to the over. I would rather do that than the 9.5, obviously, so you don't have to lay that extra half run on the key number, because if you get a 4-4 tie, you'd at least be guaranteed it's going to hit 9, but not 9.5. But yeah, the money is indicating on the over. So yeah, I agree with that. The money's also slightly on the Yankees. They're at like minus 116 here, 69% of tickets, 73% of the cash on them. I don't disagree. Like, I think Warren, I mean, he does have the better matchup numbers. Bassitt, I think, is quite bad. And, you know, the over, the concern would be, well, the Yankees just haven't been hitting well recently, but Bassitt might be a cure for that, man. Like, he's really not good, even though he is better at home, so that is kind of a concern as well. So I'm not going to do it, obviously. There are some concerns with it, but yeah, I think the over, if you're going to play that game, that would be my opinion there. San Francisco and Cleveland. This one, I was thinking maybe an under in this one. Cleveland won the game 8-1 yesterday, so I think Foster Griffin did pitch well for them. I said I thought Cleveland would win. I just didn't really like the price. But yeah, Cleveland broke out offensively yesterday with an 8-1 win. Cleveland has some motivation here that I think San Francisco doesn't, because San Francisco's definitely out of it. I mean, not technically maybe, but they're done, I think, for the season. Cleveland is still trying to make the playoffs here in a tight American League. And Cleveland might be able to win this game, too. I mean, they should, really, because they're favored, and they have another good pitcher on the mound here. In fact, debatably their best pitcher. Whereas Griffin is an okay pitcher, and he was good yesterday. This is an interesting pitching matchup, though, which I'm going to talk about in a second. San Francisco, I don't like their bullpen. They used 2 guys yesterday. Cleveland's bullpen is better than theirs. They used 3. They used a couple of kind of their better relievers, though, even though it was a blowout win. Cleveland's ranked 18th in bullpen. I think they are a little bit better than that, though their ERA is at least sub-4. San Francisco's is not, and they are 24th, so their bullpen has definitely struggled. Both offenses, I think, are pretty bad. San Francisco is 18th, tied with Philly, but I think they're worse than that. Cleveland is definitely one of the worst. They're 28th, tied with the Angels. Not good. So some indicators towards this potentially being an under, and maybe some unders in this series. The series is continuing tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could argue San Francisco's in a bounce-back spot, by the way, after losing badly yesterday, but I'm not sure how focused they're going to be, but maybe they will get up for this, because Matt Wilkinson, the tugboat, is making his that's his name, is making his major league debut for San Francisco here. He's a 6'1" left-handed pitcher who weighs like 260, 270. He's a big boy. That's why they call him the tugboat. I don't know. But he's making his major league debut here. It's exciting, but I looked at his minor league numbers, and yeah, I mean, they're not great. In AAA, I think he had like a 4-something ERA, and he was kind of walking too many guys. Although he has the ability to strike guys out. He's interesting, but I thought he was going to be a relief pitcher. So it's kind of weird that they're having him start this game because he has more of a relief arsenal. Like, he throws basically 3 pitches, I'm pretty sure. I think he throws a fastball, a changeup, and a slider, if I'm not mistaken. And then I think he also has like a cutter that he might mix in there a little bit. His fastball, I think, is called the invisible or something like that, because I guess he has a weird arm angle where it's really hard to pick up the pitch and see it coming. But he doesn't throw that hard. He throws like 93, I think, or maybe even lower than that. So like low 90s fastball from him. So I don't know, man. He's interesting, I will say that, but I expect him to be a reliever. No idea what you're going to get out of him here, but Cleveland has a bad offense, and they've never seen him before, so Wilkinson might pitch well here, right? But, of course, you know it's his debut, and I don't think he has a starter's arsenal, really, so he might not go that deep into this game, right? They might just want to get him acclimated and have him go a few innings, and if they do that, and then you're going to deal with the San Francisco bullpen, yeah, that would worry me. Cleveland's going with Parker Messick here. He doesn't worry me. I mean, he's good. The only thing you have to be worried about with him is his innings count, which is getting a little bit high. And these young guys, when they first throw that many innings, you might have to worry, but I don't really see many signs of concern yet. He's had a good season, 2.59 ERA, 1.03 whip. He is a little bit worse at home, 2.9 home ERA, which is still good. He's still pitching pretty well here, not allowing many runs. He's still on point with his command, 20-4 strikeout walk ratio this month in 17 innings. Yeah, that's good. He's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in every start since the beginning of July. Low hit rate, doesn't really walk that many guys, strikes out a pretty good amount of guys as well. All those numbers are good. Strikeout walk ratio is solid, although it was better last year, but that was a small sample size last year. Strikeout per 9 has actually gone up a little bit, although I guess that means his walk number has gotten a little bit worse this year, but whatever. San Francisco's never faced him before, so I think he has that advantage, the unfamiliarity. He's going up against a kind of weak lineup that hasn't seen him before. He should have the edge there. He is going to hit that 150 innings in either this start or the next one. So maybe, some signs to maybe just keep an eye out for that. But I still think he's backable here. If I was going to play this game, I still think I would be looking towards an under here. The money doesn't look like it agrees with me. The total's 7.5. So it looks like the odds makers are expecting a low scoring game here. 77% of the tickets, 88% of the cash on the over. I think if you go under, I think it should be a first 5 under, though, because I don't trust San Francisco's bullpen. And Wilkinson, you don't know how long he's going to last in this game, but at least if you go first 5, he's probably going to at least pitch the majority of that. And Messick, I think, will probably go deeper than 5. But, I think the under in the first 5 makes sense, but you're going to be looking at about a 3.5, which is very dicey, especially when you have no idea what you're going to get out of Wilkinson here. The money also looks like it kind of is back in Cleveland here, but they're at minus 200. I don't think I'd be able to do that. 87% of tickets, 94% of the cash on them. I mean, Messick should have the upper hand in the starting pitching. Cleveland should have the better bullpen. I think they're the better general team, and they have more motivation here potentially. But laying minus 200 in what's supposed to be a low-scoring game here, possibly close game, a team that really does not perform well offensively, Cleveland, that doesn't look great to me. So, yeah, I think first 5 under would be how I would play that, but it's another stay away. I told you, man, my games are all the late games. St. Louis and Cincinnati, they're continuing their series tomorrow as well, even though they've already played 3 times in this series because they played a doubleheader because they had a makeup game. And then St. Louis won yesterday 3-0. So St. Louis has a 2-1 series lead here. Not that it matters because it's not a playoff series, but both teams, I think, are competing here. It's a divisional series. The bullpens are kind of taxed here, and they're not good bullpens. St. Louis used a bunch of guys in the doubleheader, and then they used a bunch of guys for double duty yesterday. 4 pitchers came into the game yesterday for them. That's not great, and I think most of them pitched the day before that. Cincinnati kind of saved their bullpen by only using 1 guy out of the bullpen yesterday. So Cincinnati's pitching probably does set up a little bit better here in this game. And they definitely have the better starter on the mound. So you probably know what that means. I don't trust their bullpen anyway, though. Cincinnati's 25th in bullpen. St. Louis is 19th. I would still probably avoid both bullpens here. The offenses here have not really been that good. St. Louis is 24th. Cincinnati 25th. Not good. I thought yesterday's game would be much higher scoring than it was. It was quite low scoring yesterday. In fact, I believe Cincinnati didn't even score in the game, so that's kind of crazy. They might score in this game because they get to go up against Matthew Liberatore, who is not a good pitcher. 5.07 ERA, 1.48 whip. He's a little bit better on the road, 4.98 road ERA, which is weird because St. Louis has a pitcher-friendly park. But Liberatore, yeah, he's not that good. Decent last time out against the Cubs, but he's been, I guess, a little bit better recently. His strikeout walk number has been better over the last couple months. He's been kind of more mediocre than bad, I guess, over the last couple months. His numbers overall are not good, though. High hit rate, kind of walks too many guys as well. His strikeout rate is okay. There's not a ton to like about him here. Strikeout per 9 is pretty mediocre. I would say it's a little bit low. Or strikeout per 9 is actually somewhat high. Actually, I meant strikeout. I always say that. I meant strikeout walk ratio is a little bit low. Strikeout per 9 is actually a decent number, but that means his walk rate is too high. His numbers against the Reds are good, though. In 73 at-bats, he's held them to a 219 average, 685 OPS, so he's done pretty well against them. 16-7 strikeout walk ratio is not very good. Rest of those numbers are pretty good. but he has to go up against Chase Burns, who is clearly the better pitcher here. Burns, really good season, 2.47 ERA, 1.09 WHIP, and a 14-2 record is really good considering the team that he pitches for. They have a terrible bullpen and terrible hitting, and he still has a really good record. Yeah, he's good. He's been really good at home, 1.98 home ERA with a 187 opponent batting average. You have to worry with his inning count as well. He's up to 131, but he doesn't look like he's slowing down right now. 23-5 strikeout walk ratio this month. Had a 7-inning shutout last time out against Miami. Did have one bad start in here against Washington, but he's been generally still pitching really well here. Command number on point here. Last month he had some issues with his command, but this month he's been really good again. He's got a low hit rate on the season. He doesn't really walk that many guys. His strikeout rate is quite high, so these numbers look good. The walks are really the only number that you can really even dig at a bit. Like, he does still have a pretty high strikeout walk ratio. Nice strikeout per 9, although last year it was better, but he didn't throw that many innings last year, so it's a bigger sample size this year. Burns against St. Louis, they only have 4 hitters who have faced him, and they're 0 for 3 off him with a walk from Burleson, who's the only guy who's reached base against him, and 1 strikeout in here from Walker. The walk wasn't from Walker. I think I would lead Cincinnati first 5. I mean, it's the typical Chase Burns' pitching approach, you know what I mean? They're in the minus 140 range for the full game, though. So if you play them in the first 5, you're going to be looking at above minus 150 here because obviously the odds makers know the biggest edge they have is Burns here. So you'll have to lay like a half run probably to get the price down. I think that's what I would do, though. I would lay the half run with Cincinnati. At least you know the bat in the bottom of the 5th, so if you need them to score, they have a chance to do that in the bottom of the 5th. 72% of tickets, 94% of the cash on Cincinnati. Money seems to agree with it. I believe that's what I would do. And it looks like the money's kind of indicating towards the over 8.5 here. I'm not so sure about that. The starting pitching matchup with the matchup numbers they have looks a little bit more under-ish to me, so maybe a first 5 under here, but I think the better approach is just do what has worked, which is back Burns in the first 5. He's a very good first 5 pitcher. Like, I haven't looked at the numbers really, but I'm almost positive that his record, if you play him in first 5s, I'm pretty sure his record is very good. So that's the way I would be leaning in that game. All right, Toronto and Tampa Bay. Then I'll take a break, and then I will give out my plays, which are not in this game. I have 2 plays to give out, and my other 2 strongest leans are also in the remaining games. Tampa Bay got killed yesterday, 10-5. I told you I liked the Blue Jays yesterday because they had the rest edge there. And I also actually kind of liked the over because both starting pitchers had bad matchup numbers, and both those wound up coming true. But this might be a bounce back for Tampa Bay here. Remember, even though they've been losing at home recently, they still have a really good home record on the season. I think maybe they got a little bit complacent here because they have a big... not a big lead, but they do have a lead in the AL East here. But that lead's dwindling a little bit, especially because yesterday the Yankees and Red Sox both won. So Tampa Bay might show up with a little bit more motivation here, and I think they definitely have the better starter on the mound here. So Tampa, I think, is probably going to win this game. They only used 1 guy out of the bullpen yesterday, so they saved the bullpen in that hideous blowout of a game. They only used Motts, who has not been good anyway. Toronto only used 3 guys out of the bullpen, though, so they didn't really use any of their better relievers either. So these bullpens probably are in good shape here. Tampa Bay is the 4th-ranked bullpen. However, I still don't think they're that good. I think they're just like probably an upper half bullpen. Toronto is 16th, although they have the better bullpen ERA. And their like back half of their bullpen is actually pretty good. Varland has been one of the best closers. And they have Rogers, Tyler Rogers, I think, the guy that I always get confused with Trevor Rogers. He's been a good relief pitcher for them this year. Tampa Bay definitely is better offensively. They have the 6th-ranked offense, even though I don't think they're that good. Toronto is definitely very bad. They're ranked 30th. Even after yesterday, they're still ranked 30th. That's not good. And Toronto's going with Max Scherzer here. They're still sending him out there, man, and he's not had a good season. 6.59 ERA, 1.46 WHIP. He is better on the road, 3.21 road ERA, and he's been a little bit better recently. He's got at least 5 innings in his last 3 outings, and he's allowed no more than 2 earned runs in any of them, so he is pitching a little bit better here. I guess give him credit, because obviously he's nowhere near what he once was, but he's in... not the worst form right now at the very least. His numbers on the season still don't look good. His hit rate's too high. His walk rate's kind of too high. His strikeout rate is down, so he's not a strikeout pitcher for the most part anymore. Bad strikeout walk ratio at this point. His strikeout per 9 is at its lowest that it's ever been. So definitely some concerns in here. I mean, he's definitely going to retire soon, you know. His numbers are good against Tampa, but it's only across 12 at-bats. They only have 3 hitters who have faced him. They have no extra base hits, 3 strikeouts, no walks, 250 average, 500 OPS, but it's a small sample. I don't put too much into that, especially when one of the guys in there is Mott's being 0 for 2 off. I mean, he's a pitcher, so he's obviously not going to be batting here. So that makes it 3 for 10 instead of 3 for 12. So that increases the numbers a little bit here. I don't really trust Scherzer, and I do trust Drew Rasmussen, who's pitching for Tampa here. He's had a very good season, 2.78 ERA, 0.91 whip. He's very consistent. His numbers are almost exactly the same, home and road. He's still pitching well recently. Good command numbers, striking out a good amount of guys, not really walking anybody, not allowing a lot of hits. He's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in every start since the All-Star break. He struggled a little bit right before the All-Star break, and since he pitched in the All-Star game, he actually got better. A lot of guys will get worse, but he got better again. He's been pitching really well since then. He's had 3 shutout performances since then as well in those 5 starts. He's got a low hit rate, doesn't really walk anybody either. Strikeout rate is also high. These are good numbers. Strikeout walk ratio is tied for the highest that he's ever had. And given the sample size that he has this year, yeah, it's the highest. So that's good. Rasmussen, yeah, this is debatably, this is his best season he's ever had. His strikeout per 9 is also high. But yeah, he's got the highest strikeout walk ratio he's ever had. Numbers against Toronto are pretty good. In 93 at-bats, 258 average, 693 OPS, 21-8 strikeout walk ratio is not great, but 4 of the walks are springers, so he's kind of worked his way around him. Tampa, I think, is going to get this game. They're good at home, and I think it's time that they bounce back. I think they have the better of the starting pitching here. Bullpen, you know, I mean, it's debatable which team has the bullpen edge here. Tampa definitely has a better offense, but you got to lay minus 200 with Tampa. It looks like they are getting the money. 74% of tickets, 83% of the cash on them. Scherzer getting no respect in the market anymore, but also it's just because Toronto's not a good team. Total is low, though, so they're respecting him in that way. The money is coming in on the over, though, which is the total's at 7.5, so it's expected to be a very low-scoring game. I mean, I think if you're going to play the game, I think you try to find a way to play Tampa here, but you could go Toronto under their team total, but it's risky because you need them to score 2 or less. You know what I mean? Or you could go really granular with it and go with Toronto first 5 team total under. Probably you'll need them to score 1 or 0 against Rasmussen in the first 5 if you do that. I don't like doing that because one bad thing goes wrong, including an error, and you're fucked. You know what I mean? So there's no room for error. I thought about that joke yesterday. Pun intended. I think Tampa wins the game. I just think it's unplayable at this price. You know what I mean? If you really wanted to do it, I guess you could lay the run line with them, and they are good at home, so maybe they can get that done. But they won't bat in the 9th inning if they're winning by 1, and then you'll lose. So I don't know, man. I'll be right back, and then I'll talk about the games that I have stronger opinions on, which is the next 4 of them in a row. I have a strong opinion, and you could try to guess where I'm going here, but it's the title of this episode has something to do with what I'm doing here, and I have the same opinion in all 4 of these games that I'm about to talk about. So think about that. You might know where I'm going with this. I'll be right back. Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight, it was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually, with I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump continues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. All right. And I just saw the Toronto box score from yesterday up there. That Okamoto guy on Toronto, I feel like nobody's talking about that guy, but he's hitting really well. And did they get him from the Japanese leagues or something? I assume. I have no idea. I don't even know who he is, but nobody's talking about him, I don't think, because Toronto's offense has been so bad. But he's got 25 home runs, apparently. He's hitting well. All right. Next game up. Almost a play for me. A's Kansas City. And once I tell you what my opinion on this is, you're going to know what my opinions are on the rest of these games. Kansas City has won both games in the series so far. This will be a 4-game series, but the A's might be a little bit more motivated here after losing 2 games in the series. These teams are both just playing out the stretch here, but, maybe after losing 2 games in the series, you will bounce back. I would not be able to back either bullpen. We know these are probably the 2 worst bullpens in baseball. The A's used 5 guys yesterday. The Royals used 3. Not good bullpens. The A's are the worst ERA. They're ranked 29th in WHIP. Kansas City is the worst WHIP and the second worst ERA. So they're the 2 worst bullpens. Royals probably slightly less bad. The A's are the better offense. They're 15th. Kansas City 22nd. Kansas City does hit better at home, though. The A's have Gage Jump scheduled, though he wasn't on the board here. It has A's undecided. I think it is going to be Jump, but I don't know why they're undecided right now because I think it is his turn in the rotation. Jump, he's young, and I like him. We backed him a little bit earlier in the season. I believe we won on the majority of those plays. He's got a 4.5 ERA, but his 1.45 whip is a bit of a question. He is kind of walking too many guys. However, he is a lot better on the road. So, we've been trying to back him when he's on the road mostly. 2.6 road ERA, quite good. It makes sense. He pitches worse at home in that horrible stadium at home. I don't know if he's in the greatest form recently, though, because this month, even though the A's have won 3 of his last 4 starts, and he was the only guy to beat the Red Sox in that span where the Red Sox were on fire, Jump was the only pitcher that was able to beat them, and he beat them twice. He got a win in both of those. He's walking too many guys, though, man. He's walked 4 or more guys in 5 of his last 6 or 4 of his last 5 outings, I think is what that is. That's not good. The one that he didn't was the second one against the Red Sox, and he had a lot of strikeouts against the Red Sox. But I still worry, man. He's got a 17 to 12 strikeout walk ratio this month, so he's not exactly in the greatest of form here. He's got an okay hit rate here. His walk rate is too high. That's his main concern is the walks. He does strike out a lot of guys, so he does have a good strikeout per 9 rate here. Strikeout walk ratio not as good because he walks too many guys. But he's got talent. He definitely could strike guys out. And his numbers against Kansas City don't exist, so he's unfamiliar to them, which I think is an extra advantage because their offense is going to have to figure him out on the fly. So I'm kind of looking towards Gage Jump in this one here, if he is actually playing. Seth Lugo is getting the start for Kansas City. He's been very mediocre, 4.59 ERA, 1.38 WHIP. We actually backed him in his last start, and we got it right, but it was dicey, man. It was this game against Anaheim. It was a push, actually. We should have gotten it right. Lugo actually blew it. So I'm pissed at Lugo, actually. I think we had a 3-0 Kansas City lead in that game. We had Kansas City first 5. Lugo blew it. It was 5-5 at the end of 5, and then Kansas City won the game anyway. That pissed me off. But yeah, Lugo, he didn't walk anybody in that one, but he was too hittable there. Still, he's got a 12.6 strikeout walk ratio this month, which isn't really that good, although all the walks came in Coors Field pretty much. There's not a lot to say about this. He's mediocre, and he's not pitching as well recently. He's got a high hit rate. His walk rate is a little bit too high, I would say. It's not too bad, I guess. Strikeout rate is low, though, so he doesn't really strike guys out. So the advanced analytics guys do not like him. He has a 4.59 ERA and 1.38 whip overall, by the way. But he is better at home, 3.7 home ERA, so you don't necessarily want to fade him at home. I was going to look at his stats here. Yeah, I'm all over the place. Strikeout per 9 is obviously not great. It's in the strikeout walk ratio. I keep saying per 9. Strikeout walk ratio is in the 2s, not great. His strikeout per 9, fairly low-ish, in the 7s, you know. His numbers against the A's, they only have 5 hitters who have faced him, 22 at-bats. A lot of strikeouts, 10 strikeouts, 1 walk, but they've hit him pretty well otherwise. 273 average, 804 OPS, although most of the damage comes from Geloff, however you pronounce his name, 4 for 9 with a double and a home run here. Still, I think I would trust Jump over Lugo, but you can't play Jump must start right now because they don't have a pitcher selected here. So that's the thing. So I'm keeping it off my card anyway, but I think if you're going to play this game, I would wait. And then if Gage Jump is announced, I would jump on that. And I would play the A's in the first 5, I guess probably on the money line. Kansas City's minus 140 something in the full game. 87% of tickets, only 86% of the cash on them. So the public, hilariously, seems like they're playing Kansas City here. To me, I mean, they're one of the worst teams in baseball, and I don't really think they should be favored like this. At least not if they're facing Gage Jump here. And if they are, I don't think the line's going to move that much. But if you're going to play, I would play the A's first 5. And if you're going to do that, obviously you have to exclude the bullpens. But if you're going to do that, again, wait until Jump is announced. And I don't think the line's going to drop that much. But obviously, I think you'll still get them as an underdog, but it'll be a smaller underdog price. But still, I think it's worth it because you got to avoid the A's bullpen. So A's first 5 would be how I'd play that one. Jump, I think he's the pitcher with the higher ceiling and he's better on the road, but we still don't know if he's actually pitching. All right, the next 2 games are both going to be my plays. And I don't have them in the system, so isn't that great? Hold on, let me, I have to look and see what prices I got these at. One of them I think I got as an underdog. The other I think I got as a very small favorite here. Yeah, all right. Hold on. Bear with me, man, as I get these banners in. And you already know what I'm doing probably because I already told you what I'm doing here. Based on the last game that I just handicapped. We're going to take Seattle in the first 5. Nobody's going to want to take Seattle here in this game, man, but I just can't back their bullpen here against Milwaukee's, but I will back them with the starting pitching here. And Seattle has to be motivated here, man. The season is slipping away from them, and they lost 22-0 yesterday. And good thing I didn't give out the under in that game. Bryce Miller didn't have it, and then the Seattle bullpen was an absolute dumpster fire in that game. And Seattle was making all these mistakes out there, like I forget his name. Their center fielder, I think, thought that there were 3 outs when there were 2, so he gave the ball to a fan, which allowed more runs to score. And at that point, they were already down 19-0 probably. It's unbelievable. 22-0. And the Brewers were not even in a good spot. They were in a return home spot. I slightly leaned Seattle in that game. Unbelievable. I think Seattle's got to bounce back here, man. That is just too embarrassing. And the Brewers are sitting pretty well right now with their standing here. Like, do you really think they're going to take a team they just blew out 22-0 seriously? And everybody's talking about how embarrassing that game was. I think a lot of times you want to play on the embarrassed team. After that, it's almost like a zigzag type of spot, even though I think the zigzag works better in a more momentum-based sport. But I do think the pitching matchup helps us here with Seattle here as well. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to back Seattle. Nobody's going to want to do it here. We'll avoid the bullpen. Seattle's bullpen, I've been saying they're good all season. I'm not sure at this point. They're not better than Milwaukee, I'll tell you that. Although yesterday they basically just let their bullpen get absolutely wrecked. They only used 2 bullpen arms yesterday, and they saved all their better relievers. So all their better relievers are coming into this game totally rested. I think they just figured the game was out of reach, so they just didn't use anybody good. So that's good for Seattle at least. But I'm not going to focus on the bullpens here. I'm going to avoid them because Milwaukee's bullpen is also almost equally rested here. They only used Grant Anderson yesterday because, again, it was a blowout. So all their better relievers also have rested the last 2 days. And Milwaukee has the better bullpen, so I'm not going to factor into the bullpens. I'm not going to factor in the bullpens here. Milwaukee's ranked 6th. I think you could debate they're the 3rd best bullpen. They're good. Seattle, I don't know what's happened to them, man. They're 21st in bullpen now, and their ERA's well above 4 now. I know yesterday it was kind of a fluke thing, but I don't trust the Seattle bullpen at this point. I know their offense stinks. I get that. Seattle's 27th offensively. They're bad. Milwaukee's 7th, and I believe Milwaukee is better at home offensively, but I think we can get this done with a starting pitching matchup in this one, man, plus the motivational angle. We get Logan Gilbert pitching for Seattle. He's one of their better pitchers, and he's one of the few pitchers that Seattle has who actually does better on the road. 3.28 ERA, 0.99 whip. That's some good stuff. And he's been excellent on the road, 2.25 road ERA. Those opponent batting average is actually almost the same, home and away. But he's allowed a ton of home runs at home. I don't know what the deal is with that, although he's gotten way better at home recently. He's just been pitching better in general recently, but he's allowed 19 home runs on the season, and 18 of them have come in Seattle, which is not a home run ballpark, so I don't know what the deal is with that. Milwaukee also is not a home run hitting team, so I will throw that out there as well. But yeah, Gilbert's pitching well recently. He's not allowing that many runs. He's got good command numbers over the last couple of months. Not a lot to dislike here. Really good, actually. Strikeout walk ratio, really for the whole season. Low hit rate, pretty low walk rate, high strikeout rate. These are good numbers. You could make the argument at this point that Gilbert might be Seattle's most trustworthy starter. His strikeout walk ratio is actually lower than it has been the last few years, so maybe he's got to fix that and increase his strikeout rate a little bit, but the numbers aren't that much different than what he's put up in the past. And he's had, I think, kind of a shorter, well, actually this season I thought it was shorter, but he's pitched most of the season. His strikeout up per 9 is kind of in line with where it has been in his career. Last year he was really good in that department, but he's still quite good this year, man. And his numbers against Milwaukee are also good. They have 57 at-bats against him. His strikeout walk ratio against them is 22-0. That's insane. So he's had really good command against them. And outside of Yelich, who has 2 home runs off him, Yelich, however you pronounce his name, nobody else has really done a ton of damage against him. 175 average, 506 OPS. Good numbers here for Gilbert. I think it's a good matchup for him. He pitches well on the road. He's in good form right now. We'll take him and we'll fade Dustin May, who I think is the lesser pitcher here, even though May, he's had an all right season. Milwaukee went and they got him at the trade deadline to bolster their, basically they just wanted depth in their starting pitching, I think. He's got a 4.13 ERA, and they wanted experience, I guess. 1.25 whip, 4.13 ERA. Those are not bad numbers. And yes, he's been good at home, 3.18 home ERA. Most of that was with St. Louis, though. St. Louis is a very pitcher-friendly park. Milwaukee, maybe not so much. However, yes, he's been good with Milwaukee so far. He's gone 6+ innings in both starts and allowed 2 or fewer runs. However, he does have an 11-5 strikeout walk ratio, so the walks have been a bit of an issue for him in those starts. One of them was at San Diego, which is a very pitcher-friendly park. The other one I'm a little bit more impressed by. He pitched well against Pittsburgh here in Milwaukee the other time, but I still don't know if I fully trust May. He does have a reasonably low hit rate here. Hasn't walked that many guys, and his strikeout rate's been okay. So he does have decent numbers here. It's been a nice bounce-back season for him after it looked like he was just going off the rails after he had his injury issues with the Dodgers. He's not as good as he once was, though. I don't know if he ever will be. He has a decent strikeout per 9 this year, though. It's like right around the average. Or decent strikeout walk ratio. I keep making that mistake. I can't help it, man. It's just my mind. I've trained myself wrong already. His strikeout per 9, yeah, is also pretty decent this year, like I said. Numbers against Seattle, we don't really have much to go on here. They have 20 at-bats against him. Only 4 of their hitters have faced him. Josh Naylor has done a lot of damage against him. They have a 350 average, 781 OPS, 4-1 strikeout walk ratio. But what I'm just looking at is I think we get the better pitcher with Gilbert here in the first 5, plus highly motivated spot for Seattle. zigzag spot. Nobody's going to want to do it. The public is only going to come in and play Milwaukee. Milwaukee's heavily public, 81% of the tickets, 78% of the cash on them. So it does look like the money is backing Seattle here based on my read of this market here. The number's gone down a bit. Milwaukee was minus 130, and now they're in the minus 118 range. You can get Seattle in the first 5 around the price that I have listed here. Let's do it. Let's take Seattle in the first 5 at somewhere, close to a pick'em price here. Dirty Sock, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. Next game is my other play of the day. Nobody's going to like these two plays, man, and that's why I do like these. I think the market read is strong on both these. Yes, thank you for the jewels. The next one is my last play of the day. I told you, man, road team first 5 is the name of the game today, and we're going to get sued by Jayden Daniels because we can't use the number 5. So we're going to be forced to make these first 4 bets instead. We're going to take Washington in this next game in the first 5, obviously, because I can't trust their bullpen. But we're going to back a hot pitcher here, man, and the money's coming in on Washington here. I like this, even though Texas, the motivation should be there for Texas because they're trying to make the playoffs. They're 1 game out of their division right now. So, yes, we're going against a motivated team here. But Texas just shut out Washington yesterday, and it was a bad spot for Texas in a return home spot. I think Washington might bounce back here. So we're going to play 2 teams that got shut out yesterday, which I think is going to motivate those teams to be better in this game. And Washington rarely gets shut out on the road. You know what I mean? I don't know what happened in that game. Cal Quantrill pitching for Texas resulted in a shutout of one of the league's best offenses, really. I mean, I know Washington's offense isn't as good since the break. I know they traded away Curtis Mead. C.J. Abrams is complaining about having to move to second base. But this is still a good offense. So I think we're going to get some offense from Washington here in this one. I think it's going to be enough to get them through the first 5 in this one here. Even though, yes, I know Texas is trying to make the playoffs, Washington isn't really in that scenario. Washington, their bullpen is in okay shape, at least. They use 2 guys out of the bullpen, and Texas isn't really that good. They use 3 guys out of the bullpen, but I'm just going to factor the bullpens out. Washington's bullpen's bad. I want nothing to do with them. They're 26. Texas doesn't get me going either at this point. They're 20th. They were a great bullpen last year. This year, no, they're 20th, but I'll still avoid both bullpens here. We'll back the better offense, which is Washington. They're ranked 2nd still over the course of the season, although, yes, I know they haven't been as good recently. I know we're in a pitcher-friendly park here, too. Texas's offense, they kind of suck, though. They're 21st, and they're not that good at home. And we're going to back Cade Cavalli here, even though I don't like his ridiculous posturing that he did against the Red Sox. I've been saying all season that looking at his underlying metrics, I thought he was a talented pitcher. That's coming to fruition, man. He's turned this into a very good season. 3.36 ERA. I mean, 1.24 whip isn't really that good, but these are good numbers. He's better on the road, too. 3.23 road ERA. Better opponent batting average on the road as well. And he's in very good form recently. 8-inning, 1-hit shutout against the Cubs last time out, 10 strikeouts, and he's got a 21-5 strikeout walk ratio this month. He's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in all but 1 start, going all the way back to the beginning of July. The last time he had an actual bad start was the beginning of July against Pittsburgh, and before that, he was awesome in that start against the Red Sox. Yeah, he's starting to pitch well. He's got a reasonably low hit rate here. He doesn't really walk that many guys, and he strikes out a lot of guys, gets a lot of ground balls, too. So he's a very effective pitcher. The only things you have to worry about are the innings pitch count and the amount of pitches that he threw last time out. He did throw over 100 pitches for the 2nd straight game. Maybe a little bit of a concern. I'm not too worried about that because it wasn't like that extreme. They're kind of letting him go a little bit more, but like throwing, just several more pitches. He's used to throwing 90 to 100 pitches anyway, so I'm not too concerned by that, just that arbitrary 100 number. Although I know I use the arbitrary like 150 innings pitch number when I think guys might start fading a little bit, and he's up to 136 and 2/3 innings pitch, so he might start fading a little bit because he's not used to throwing this many innings, but for now, he's on fire right now. He looks really good right now. He's in really good form right now. Good strikeout walk ratio on the season. Good strikeout per 9. Having a career season here so far. Like, this is his breakout season. And as far as his opponent here, only Nimmo has ever faced him, and he's 0 for 2. Nimmo has been in his division. Nimmo was on the Mets. So that's what we have going on there. And he's going to be opposed by Kumar Rocker, who is also unfamiliar. So both pitchers do have an unfamiliarity edge here with the opposing offenses, but I don't think Rocker is nearly as good as Cavalli. Rocker's kind of struggled so far to get his career going. 4.5 ERA this year, 1.4 whip. He's not good at home, really. 4.84 home ERA. Those batting average against is a little bit better at home, but his ERA is worse. His walk number has been bad recently. Texas has lost all 3 of his starts this month. Granted, 2 of them were actually on the road, and one was at the A's stadium, but this walk number is still concerning. 13-9 strikeout walk ratio with 21 hits allowed in those 13 to third innings. That's not good. He's been way too hittable as well. He's not pitching well. His hit rate is okay on the course of the season, but his walk rate is too high, and his strikeout rate's not that good. So these numbers overall, not that good. Strikeout walk ratio in the low 2s, that's not good. His strikeout per 9 is mediocre. Yes, Washington hasn't faced him before, but we have that going for both pitchers here. The money is heavily backing Washington here, and I'm going to agree. I'm going to back them in the first 5. I think we have a pitching edge here with Cavalli over Rocker. Plus, I think Washington might be motivated to bounce back after yesterday. So I told you these are all similar handicaps here. I like the road team in the first 5 in 4 games in a row here. 68% of the tickets on Texas because the public knows Texas is trying to win here. Washington's kind of done for the season, but 85% of the money on Washington. I think we should do it. We should back Washington here. Total 7.5. Money coming in towards the under here. I could see the argument for it. I mean, it's possible that both pitchers with the unfamiliarity might do well. But if you like the under, that's also kind of an indicator the underdog has a better chance to stay in the game because it'll be lower scoring. Minus 128 down from minus 146 is the money line on Texas here. So I think some real money is definitely backing Washington here. And I believe you can still find them at plus money in the first 5. So that's what we're going to do. Zach, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. Garrett, there might be other ways that you can get that done, though. Or just travel across state lines somewhere. You didn't think to get the bets in? Well, my show is, you didn't know what my plays were going to be until right now, though, so I don't know. You might be able to find a way to do it anyway, though. Anaheim and Houston. This is another one. I like the road team in the first 5 in this one, too, although Houston did lose yesterday, and Houston is going to be the more motivated team because they're trying to win their division here, obviously. But they did lose. Ugly loss to Anaheim yesterday, 3-1. Looks like I thought that was going to be a high-scoring game. The pitching matchup was terrible in that game yesterday, but I guess maybe Clausen is actually not that bad. I don't know. But whatever. Houston will be motivated, and that's one issue that I have with maybe looking towards Anaheim, because I do like Anaheim in the first 5 here. But you're getting a huge underdog price with Anaheim here, although it'll be less in the first 5, but you'll still be getting them as an underdog. Now, yes, Anaheim has the worst bullpen, so I would take them out of the equation. They used 3 guys yesterday. Houston used 4. Houston is the better bullpen, though. They're ranked 10th. Decent bullpen. Anaheim 22nd, not so good. Houston is the better offense by a lot. They're number 10. Anaheim is number 28, tied with Cleveland. That's not a good sign. But I like the pitching matchup to favor Anaheim in this one, man. And Anaheim, I think, will be motivated as well because they get to play spoiler against a division foe. And they got my favorite guy, Walbert Urania, on the mound. I have a few concerns with him, mostly that he walks too many guys and he's pitching on the road. So those are my issues here, but he's had a good season. I called it out early on. I thought he was good. And if he fixes his walk issues, he's only 22. He's going to be a really good pitcher, man. 2.67 ERA, 1.25 whip is a little bit concerning because of the walks. He is not quite as good on the road. Like I said, 3.35 road ERA. Still not bad, though. He just shut out Texas last time out for 6 innings. That was good. 2 of his last 3 starts have been shutouts. And aside from a bad outing against Miami, he's been good for like over a month. He's allowed 1 or fewer earned run in all the rest of his starts since the beginning of July. One was a shortened start against Texas where I don't know what happened there. He threw a lot of pitches and walked too many guys. And that's really the issue with him is the strikeout walk ratio worries me. Although he's been basically unhittable. He's very hard to hit, which is a good sign, but he walks a ton of guys. His strikeout rate is actually a little bit lower than you'd think. He gets a lot of ground ball outs, which sometimes kind of masks the fact that you're putting a lot of guys on base. The strikeout walk ratio, the advanced analytics guys are going to come in and be like, yeah, that's concerning. 1.8 because of how many walks he issues. That's not good. Strikeout per 9 is okay, although with a guy like him, you'd like to see him strike more guys out than he does, but I think he's still good. I think he's got talent, and Houston has not been able to hit him so far. They have 40 at-bats against him, so Houston has a big sample size against him already, and they only have a 150 average against him, 556 OPS, 12.9 strikeout walk ratio. That's the only concern with him really has been the walks, and it shows in this stat sheet here as well. But I trust him over. We just don't know what we're going to get out of Houston. Houston has Ethan Pico? Maybe it's Pico. It looks like Pecco, though. Ethan Pecco is making his major league debut for Houston. I looked at his stuff. I mean, he's basically projected to be like his ceiling is like a back end starting rotation type of guy. So he's not excellent. I looked at his minor league numbers and they weren't really that great, but they're calling him up. I guess seeing what they get out of him here. I guess Houston has some issues in their starting pitcher rotation anyway, so we'll see what we get out of him. He might be pumped in his major league debut. So we have two guys making their major league debut today. He's going to be overshadowed by the Tugboat, not just because the Tugboat is a large man, but everybody's talking about Tugboat. Nobody's talking about Pecco, so maybe Tugboat is overhyped. And Pecco will fly under the radar here. At least he's getting a bad offense. Both of those pitchers today making their major league debuts are getting to face a weak offense. So that might help him a little bit that he's getting to face a bad offense here. And that offense hasn't seen him, so maybe they'll be able to do something against him. He has like a typical arsenal. He throws like low to mid 90s fastball. I think he has slider, curve, change, like basically, and I think he might have a cutter in there too. So a very typical arsenal from him. I didn't really see anything special about it. And like I said, he had really mediocre numbers in the minors. So I'm not like jumping out of my seat to try to back him here. I think taking Urania as an underdog here in the first 5 is the way to play this game. Like I said, I would back Anaheim in the first 5, avoid their bullpen. Let me see. Where am I looking? Where's the AL? There they are. The money seems to strongly agree with this. Houston, 67% of tickets on them, 50%, 50-50 on the cash, so 50% of the cash on Anaheim. We're agreeing with the market on all 4 of these games where I like the road team in the first 5. Hopefully the 2 plays I give out are the right ones, man, because they're not all going to hit. You're looking at about a minus 150 now on Houston. So Houston's dropped from minus 160 down to minus 150. If you're going to play Anaheim in the first 5, I think you only get them at a very small underdog price. But getting them at plus money with this matchup, I think it does make some sense. So that's what I would do. I would take Anaheim in the first 5. I did raise the concerns that I do have with it. Totals at 8.5. Maybe I'm being too selective here. But that's what we're looking at here. Money's coming in on the over for whatever that's worth here. But yeah, so like I said, my 2 plays, if I was going to add any more plays, my 2 plays are the first 5s on Seattle and what was the other one? Washington. But if I was going to add 2 more, I would add the A's in the first 5, but you got to wait and see if it's Gage Jump. And if it is, then I would jump on that. And I would also add Anaheim first 5. I would add those 2 if I was going to add any more. I don't know which one of those I think is better, to be honest. If it's not going to be jump for the A's, then I would not play it, though. Hindi, and what's up? Thanks for hanging out. If it's JT Ginn, then maybe I'd consider it. All right. And then the last game is Dodgers-Rockies. The Dodgers won again yesterday, although the Rockies played more competitively again yesterday. They only lost by 1. They've lost by 1 in a lot of games to the Dodgers this year. This is a point where now I believe the Rockies are trying to avoid the sweep now. I think the teams are off tomorrow. So the Dodgers might overlook the Rockies here. They might start looking ahead. The Dodgers play the Pirates next, which is a bit of a bigger series, I suppose. So possible that Colorado does have a motivational edge here. Dodgers, are going to be a heavy favorite here. And Dodgers don't have one of their elite pitchers on the mound here either, so I mean, I guess there are some arguments to be made for looking towards Colorado. I'm not going to want to do it, though. Dodgers used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. Colorado is the worst of the 2 bullpens. They used 4 as well. The Dodgers are, where are they at? Their bullpen has not been as good recently. They're 12th. The Rockies are obviously worse at 27th. Dodgers are the number 1 offense again here. They've been back and forth with Washington. Colorado's 5th offensively, so they've been hitting pretty well. Roki Sasaki is pitching for the Dodgers. He's been decent as of late. He's turned his season into a decent season. 4.46 ERA, 1.29 whip. He's a little bit worse on the road, 4.61 road ERA. Those opponent batting average is actually a little bit better on the road. He's been pitching fairly well recently. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in every start going all the way back to the beginning of July. And the Dodgers won all of his July starts. They've lost both of his starts this month, but it wasn't really all his fault. He didn't allow many runs, and they were close games. However, his walk rate has been kind of an issue here. Walked 5 guys in his last outing against Milwaukee. Maybe it was a fluke because his walk rate was somewhat low in the month of July. He does have a low hit rate on the season. His walk rate is maybe a concern. His strikeout rate is okay. He allows a lot of home runs, and that's kind of a concern if you're going to be pitching in Coors Field. But he's not really a fly ball pitcher, so not heavily a fly ball pitcher, so it's kind of weird. I don't know. He did pitch in Coors Field earlier this year in April, and it did not really go well. And he did allow 1 home run in that one, but he did not pitch well in that outing. But he wasn't pitching well in general back then, and he is pitching better now. So it is possible he does better here in this one. His strikeout walk ratio, it's not great, but it's at least better than it was last year. He's up to strikeouts per 9, so he is pitching better at least. And his numbers against Colorado overall are pretty good. They have 26 at-bats against him, 192 average, 481 OPS, 3-2 strikeout walk ratio. So I'm not necessarily sold on Sasaki not doing well here. Kyle Freeland is pitching for Colorado. Not a whole lot to like here. 6.27 ERA, 1.44 whip, not good. He's better at home somehow in Coors Field, 5.49 home ERA, still not great. 2 of his last 3 starts have actually been excellent, though, where he went 8+ innings in 2 of them, allowing 1 run in each of them. But it was at home against Kansas City, and I know that's Coors Field, but Kansas City can't hit on the road. They couldn't hit in the A's stadium either. And then the other one was at San Francisco, so I'm not going to go overboard being that impressed by that. They were good outings, no doubt about that, but he's still not striking guys out. I don't know. I mean, he still allows a high hit rate on the season. He allows a lot of home runs. He's fairly fly ball heavy. He doesn't really walk many guys, but he doesn't strike many guys out either. Not really a lot to love here. His strikeout walk ratio is pretty decent, actually, just because he walks so few people, but he allows a lot of hits and a lot of home runs, so that's the trade-off with him. His strikeout per 9 is all right. I mean, it's not great. Numbers against the Dodgers, not very good. 252 at-bats. They've seen a ton of them. 306 average, 890 OPS, allowed 54-14 strikeout walk ratio. None of that is very good. I mean, I don't really have much of a reason to want to play Colorado here. I don't think they have the better of the starting pitching matchup here. Dodgers are public, and they're definitely heavily priced at minus 190. 89% of tickets, 94% of the cash on them. I don't think I could see the argument really for playing Colorado here other than the price is too high on the Dodgers. Well, that and the situation, I guess, that the Dodgers might overlook them here, but I'm not liking it. The money is backing the over, 65% of tickets, 94% of the cash on the over. Totals above that key number of 11 at 11.5. I mean, it's a high total for sure, but the over might make more sense. I mean, neither pitcher is really that trustworthy, and I don't love the bullpens here. It could happen. It could be an over. The first game, both games of the series went over, actually, so far. So it definitely has been an over series. So, yeah, I mean, if you're going to force me to give an opinion on that game, I suppose the over is better than anything else. Dodgers team total over is an option as well. If you think that Sasaki is kind of a mystery and might actually do okay, Dodgers probably will tee off here on this Colorado pitching staff, but you'll need them to score a lot. You'll need them to score probably at least 7, which they've been able to do in both games so far in the series, so they might be able to do it again, but it is a bit risky. Dirty sock, yes. The Rockies. Dude, like, I think they're kind of a dead franchise. Like they can, as I've said, they cannot attract pitchers. Who would want to pitch in that stadium? Like they need to move the team. That's the only way they're going to be able to improve the team. All right, and then we have WNBA tonight. There are 2 games. I considered maybe having a play here, but I don't think I like either game well enough here. Washington is hosting Toronto. Washington is staying at home here. They last played on Saturday, so Washington has a big rest edge here, but it's going to be factored into the line. Washington did just beat I almost said Anaheim, beat LA in their last game. Washington has Minnesota next, though, so that's kind of a problem. They might look ahead there because are you really going to focus on Toronto that much? Washington has a rest edge, though, because Toronto played yesterday, and they played a fairly close game against Indiana yesterday. So it's not a good spot for Toronto, even though they're rested kind of because they didn't play for 5 days prior to yesterday. But they're playing bad basketball, of course. They've lost a bunch of games in a row. However, maybe they're not playing that bad because most of these games were actually against good teams. And the start of the losing streak was actually against Washington. So they might actually show up for this game against Washington. But yesterday, kind of tough game against Indiana. They lost by 6. It wasn't really that close, though. They were losing, I think, by double digits in the fourth quarter. And I think it was a little bit cosmetic at the end. They weren't really in any sort of position to win that game. But the fact that they're on a back-to-back, I mean, maybe you don't have to fade them because, again, they had rest before yesterday, and it's going to affect the line. Like, the odds makers know Washington has a rest advantage, so it's going to increase the line, and they're minus 10.5, minus 11 here now, and it's a low total, 170.5. Both totals are low here. And, you know, Washington's a defensive team, and I don't like laying points with teams like that. They're a good team, but they're mostly defensive, so laying a huge price with them, not something I'm that interested in. And like I said, their spot is not exactly great either. 63% of tickets, 66% of the cash on them. The money's coming in on the over. I mean, I could see maybe the argument for that. Toronto, you know, unrested. Toronto's bullpen. Why do I keep... I'm in complete baseball mode. Toronto's defense might fail here because they're on no rest and their defense isn't good anyway. So Washington might be able to go like over their team total or something like that here, but they're not an offensive team, so I don't know. I don't like this game. Like, I just can't figure it out. I mean, I go back and forth even on, like, trying to figure out the side here. Like, when I saw Toronto was on the back-to-back off a tough game, I was thinking you got to lay the points with Washington, but I'm kind of thinking maybe the opposite is true. Maybe the line is just too high. Maybe there is some value on Toronto, and Washington does have the look ahead. And Toronto might focus on Washington because Washington started this long losing streak for them. And Washington has Minnesota next, so whatever. The owners don't care. Yeah. Audis, yeah. The nice autocorrect. You're talking about cars a lot, apparently. All right. And then Minnesota Golden State is the much more competitive game here. You got 2 good teams here. A Western Conference battle. It's on TV on USA Network. Golden State's pretty hot right now. They've won a bunch of games in a row. They're coming off a win over Dallas, but you know they're not going to overlook Minnesota. Minnesota's the best team in the league. They played them once earlier. They played them twice earlier this season. They lost by 6 at home to them and by 3 on the road. So those were close games. So Golden State is able to compete against Minnesota. They've won 6 games in a row. They're staying at home here. They did play on Monday, so they're not on a huge amount of rest here. Minnesota's coming off a big win over the Aces, though. So Minnesota is coming off a bigger win. A huge game, really. They beat Vegas for the 2nd straight time. They're on more rest because they last played on Saturday, but they're coming off a big win here, man. Minnesota's hot as well. They've won 4 in a row, and they've only lost 1 game since early July. And we know they're a dominant team. Like, I don't really see any team being able to beat them in a playoff series. But in this game, I kind of like Golden State. I think Golden State, they're one of the few teams that can compete with Minnesota on the defensive side. Golden State runs some kind of weird offensive schemes that if you're not used to seeing it, you have to kind of adapt to it. And yes, Minnesota did go in here and beat them before, but Golden State was able to hang around both times they played them. The money's coming in on Minnesota. I don't really agree with that. I think it looks too easy to play them. They're minus 2.5, minus 3. 61% of the cash on them, 67% of the tickets on Golden State. Money also heavily backing the over. Total is low, 164.5. I don't agree with the over. I think in a game like this with two good defenses and two competitive teams, usually the defense shows up and it becomes a physical battle. So I would be leaning more towards an under in a game like that. I think Golden State, because of the style of game, I also would be looking towards taking the points with the home team here with Golden State. A good defense at home, getting points. I think they can compete here. I think the spot is a little bit better for them staying at home with Minnesota coming off a big win over the Aces. Everybody's talking about how the Aces, even I'm talking about how the Aces are the biggest competition that Minnesota has in the league this year. Golden State's probably sitting there thinking, yeah, well, what about us? We have a good record, which is true. So that's that game. Golden State also is really good at home, although Minnesota is also really good on the road. So you have two really good records going up against each other. Minnesota's a really good 15-2 on the road. Golden State 15-4 at home is not bad either, obviously. It's an interesting one, I guess. As far as WNBA is concerned, at least it's one of the more interesting games. I would lean Golden State, but I don't have a play here. So I haven't had a WNBA play for a while. I know we have to get back on the winning side. I think we're one game below 500 in the WNBA, but we've gotten some real bullshit results. I'm going to have some more WNBA. I just have to find some situations to do it, but that's going to do it. Today, it's all baseball. As I said, we're going to get sued by Jayden Daniels for the first 5 plays that we have today. We're taking Seattle in the first 5. Nobody's going to want to do it after the massacre that they suffered last night. However, I like it, and I think they have the better starting pitcher on the mound. So we're going to take Seattle in a highly motivated spot, I believe. And we're taking 2 teams that both got shut out yesterday. Washington in the first 5. I think they have the better starting pitcher as well. Let's do it. And again, my other leans were the A's first 5 and Anaheim first 5. A's would be dependent on Gage Jump or JT Ginn being the starter for them, though. I would say either one of those, and it might be a go. But it's not on my cards, so those are the other 2 plays that I like the best besides the 2 actual plays, though. That's going to do it. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Like, subscribe to the channel here. I know I keep pumping the football previews. It'll happen. We got to get it done. College football soon. That one will be soon. It's starting soon. So, yeah, I'll do the show soon, and then there'll be a final NFL preview, even though I did kind of already do one. And I think the season win totals I gave out were good on that show, but the divisional standings, I might change my opinions a little bit. What else? So, yeah, like, subscribe here. You'll get notified. Listen on audio, Apple, Spotify, Spreaker. That all helps. The numbers have gone up recently on audio, so I like that. We're stagnant again on YouTube, so we got to fix something here. Nobody likes to listen to my ramblings. Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube. You can check that out. Patreon.com/LearnToToad. I always forget what my plugs are. Losercast, we had a new episode last night. Go check it out. I thought it was decent. I don't know. I felt like it wasn't the funniest episode, in my opinion. We got to stop getting off track and going on these serious tangents on that show. I try to, kind of like with Tower Game, but it's worse on Losercast. I try to steer it more towards, no, we're supposed to be a comedy show. Like, let's do this. And then the Giants G-Spot podcast, it's got to start, man, because we did do one episode, but we got to do something because the season's about to start. So I got to talk to Ben about that. That's going to do it for now. I'll be back with the college football preview will be my next special that I do. And then, of course, I'll be here tomorrow morning for a short Thursday. I love the Thursday cards because they're shorter, but, of course, I will have to talk about NFL preseason. And week 2 becomes more unpredictable. And speaking of which, I do have to watch the latest Hard Knocks with the Seattle Seahawks, which I assume came out yesterday. I haven't watched that yet, so I'll probably watch that today. That's going to do it. Hindi and thing. I've had a long beard a couple of times. I don't like it when it gets that long, though. Like, no, I like to keep it around this length. I'm gonna probably trim it a little bit. I'll usually I let it get a little bit longer during the winter, usually, though. Yes, like and hype. I don't know what the fuck hype does, but yes, do it. That's going to do it. Thanks, everybody. Subscribe and you'll be notified when I go because I don't know when my football previews are going to happen. So keep that in mind. And then, obviously, you pretty much know when I'm going to be here in the mornings, though. That's going to do it for now. Peace.
If the dark starts talking, hand me the phone. Let somebody answer, let somebody know. You do not have to lose this round alone. Hold on, not tonight, not now. You're still here.